All right, g'day guys. Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. It's again our preview for the semi-final. This one's an absolute cracker. Collingwood hosting Fremantle Saturday night at the G. Geez, both teams coming in on some pretty good form, despite Collingwood having the very narrow loss to the Cats last weekend. But of course, BT, Fremantle, what a win, what a comeback. They're up and about here in the West.
I don't know if they're getting above themselves here. It's all over the news, as it should be. As it should be. That was a massive win for them, and they're playing very well. But they've got a tough job going over to the G in front of 80 odd thousand Collingwood supporters. It's a bit different when you've got nearly 60,000 Docker supporters on your back. They're helping you. It's going to be completely different. But they do play well. They do play well in Melbourne, and especially at the G. They're not afraid to go there and win. So hopefully, as West Australians, hopefully they can play well over there.
Yeah, we'd like to see a good final, and I personally think this is probably going to be the best final of the two this weekend. But Taz at Collingwood was just so impressive in their game against Geelong. There's no honourable losses, but this was an honourable loss. They were terrific.
Yeah, a super inexperienced team, really, in terms of the amount of young guys that they've got rolling through that team. They just kept the pressure up all game. It was manic. It was crazy. And that, to me, is going to be the biggest key for this game. Going back to their contest in round 10 up the stadium, Collingwood were plus 27 for tackles in that game. So that is a huge hallmark of their game. They won that game by 6 goals. It was a bit wet. I have looked at the conditions. There is a little bit of rain, possibly on Saturday afternoon. So we could maybe see a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of, a little bit of moisture around. So we could have, it won't be similar to that because that was quite wet, that game. But it is a little disclaimer on Freo. We do know that they don't like the wet. And Collingwood, with their pressure game, will eat it right up. They'll love it.
Let's talk injuries here for a second because there's some notable ones for both teams. Taylor Adams, gone. Horrific injury. So we won't be seeing him for the rest of the year. Jordan De Goey will play. So a little bit of a question mark on him, but he's going to be right to go. Nathan Fyfe. The injury cloud still remains. There's been no word at the time of recording this video as to his status. But fellas, you'd have to say, I don't think he's going to play. And if he does play, he's probably going to hinder what Fremantle are trying to do.
Yeah, don't play him. Don't play him. They are playing better without him. It's the name. That's the problem here. Jewel Brownlow medalist, obviously a good player, one of the best. But the last 2 seasons or so, especially this season, he's been injured, hasn't done much. But it's the name that's getting him talked about. If this was just a normal bloke who's in and out of the team type player, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But because it's Nat Fyfe, but this season he's equivalent to a player who hasn't done much. So if you look at it that way, you don't play him. You do not play him. Tabner's the one, whether they bring him in or not. That's the big one. Tab the crab.
Yeah.
We don't know that. Do they bring him in?
That's a big question because a miss came in, and to be honest, second gamer, he's been touted as the next Pav. Tazza, he looked all right. He obviously missed that one early, and that was a real confidence shaker for Freo, but he took some marks, he kicked some goals, he steadied. Do you persist with the young fella?
I would. Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for him was he had his confidence shot at the start, but he recovered and he actually turned out to be quite a decent contributor in the end. And going back to that earlier fixture, Taberner was goalless. So he didn't set the world alight in that previous fixture. And I mean, with Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, Nathan Murphy there, I think that's 3 guys that can rotate and do a job there. I mean, he's going to find it real hard. And so's a miss, but I mean, Taberner is the proven guy of sorts, but I'd be leaning towards rewarding form at this point.
Yeah, that's an interesting selection issue. So at the time of recording is we don't know who's been picked. When you're watching this, you may know. So we're very interested to see what happens there. I think, fellas, we need to talk about Fremantle's midfield because I think this is where they're going to have the advantage in this game. BT, they've got to maximise the clearances. They've got to maximise the stoppage game because they've got two beasts in there. Well, three if you count Will Brodie, but Sarong and Brayshaw, they stepped it up to another level the other night, and they, I think, for me, are the key to this game.
If they can get around the 30 to 40 contested between them, then that's going to go a hell of a long way for them to win this game. They need to get that ball inside 50 and let those small forwards, half forwards go to work. That's where they will win this game. So these two players, three, if you count Will Brodie, winning that ball first and getting it in there, that's absolutely key for them. Where I think, like you said, they've got the upper hand here because there's not a big midfield for Collingwood, especially with Taylor Adams out. So this could, if a Brayshaw comes out and has a 40-plus possession game, then I think they win.
Leading on to that, are you game enough to back Freo in this game? Away from home, as you said, 80,000 at the G. It's a big task. Can they get it done?
Yes, I'm backing them. And I think because a lot of I don't know the stat, don't have a stat behind me. There's a lot of years a team goes out in straight sets. I think Melbourne's going to win. If you haven't listened, listen to that video. So I think Collingwood's out in straight sets.
Wow, that's a big call. Tazza, are you backing that in?
Yeah, I think I do. We talked about Freo's small forwards, and Collingwood's defence seems a little bit more geared to defending the taller forwards with the three guys that I talked about, Moore, Howe, and Murphy. With the plethora of small forwards that Freo have running around, there aren't that many guys that are going to lock down on those guys. You got Maynard, obviously, who will defend small, but I think those guys are going to get too much of a run on Collingwood, and obviously, if they get that ball out of the middle, I'm backing those guys to do the damage for Freo. So yeah, I'll have Freo.
Wow, this is huge. We do have a couple of purple fans that do like watching this video. Shout out to Purple Colour Glasses. We have even more Collingwood fans that watch this channel, and they are going to be mortified with these predictions, fellas. As for me, though, I was quoted early in the year as saying that Collingwood was more likely to go out in straight sets than they were to win the flag. And I did renege on that call. I had a press conference. I licked my wounds. I can't tip against Collingwood here. I think Collingwood's the better team. I do agree that there is a scenario and the matchup is good for Freo, but I just think Collingwood, with their momentum, with the way they played against the Cats, their pressure is good. They're just a bit more of a polished team for me. And I think when the heat comes in the third and fourth quarter, the Pies are going to be able to stand up a bit better. So for me, it's the Pies, but it's not by much. It's going to be a really close game, I reckon.
That crowd is going to be mental there. That's going to be a huge factor as well, I think.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of either team, let us know in the comments. If you're going to the game as well, let us know. I'd love to hear what the atmosphere was like last week as well. 90,000 plus at the G. I bet it was epic. So let us know in the comments who your tips are. We can't wait. It's going to be an absolutely cracking game on Saturday night.